So you're probably wondering, how am I going to maintain my Harley Davidson? Well, in this video, I'm going to be talking about that very thing, the kind of things that you want to be looking at, and also how often you want to be doing it. So let's get into it.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. Hope you're enjoying the channel and the series of videos. Please like, share, subscribe, leave those comments below, and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. So I'm going to be talking about maintenance on your Harley Davidson motorcycle. Now, there are a couple of things you need to consider. First of all, are you going to be doing the maintenance yourself, or are you going to be taking it to a dealership because you feel much better doing it that way? Either way is fine. But of course, if you're doing the maintenance yourself and the motorcycle is still under warranty, then you will probably void the warranty if you're doing the maintenance yourself. Certainly the service intervals, the 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 mile service intervals. So that's something to bear in mind. But once you're out of warranty, of course, then you need to start maintaining yourself. But these are the things that you kind of want to be looking for. Now, you can find all this in the owner's manual, of course, but this is from the service manual as well, and this is from the maintenance service schedule. Now, if you look on the Harley page on the website RevelatorAlf.com, I've got a whole list of all the torque settings for every fastener on the motorcycle. And one of the first lists is for the maintenance section, the maintenance value. So anything you need to do for maintenance on your motorcycle, go to the Harley page and you'll find the maintenance torque values there. So go check that out. Now, some of the things that you need to look at, your fuel system and your oil and lubrication system. So you need to check your primary fluids, your transmission fluid, your engine oil as well. Levels, regular changes, top-ups, that kind of thing. You also need to look at engine oil, of course, but the engine oil filter as well. Regular changes of that. Now, you're also going to be looking at the tires, the wheels, the bearings of those of your motorcycle. Are the tires still in good condition? Are they worn? Pressures of those tires? Any damage to the wheels themselves? And also, is there any play in the wheel as well? And look at those bearings. Now, on a new motorcycle, that shouldn't really be the case. You shouldn't be having that unless there's some kind of issue with it. But certainly the older motorcycles, that's something you need to be aware of. So make sure that there isn't any play on the wheel itself, and also the overall wheel and tires are in good condition. Okay, so the next thing on the motorcycle, you want to look at the chassis and all the cables on the motorcycle as well, and if they need lubricating, that kind of thing, and also protecting, especially if you're over the winter period as well. You may want to have some anti-corrosive that you apply over the motorcycle. You may want to oil some of those cables as well, but make sure all the cables, all the fasteners are protected. They are tightened as much as they can, or as they should be, but also lubricated and are free moving if they are supposed to be moving. Okay, so one of the things that you want to do on a regular basis, of course, is check your brakes, front and rear brake pads, your discs, if you have that as well. But also the brake fluid, make sure that is correct, and make sure that the master cylinder for the rear and the front brakes are all secure as well. There aren't any leaks. You haven't got any binding on the brakes. There's proper braking action. So it's a constant monitor of that as well. But also regular walk arounds the bikes. You want to be checking all your brake lines, the brake pads for wear and tear, and obviously the discs for any grooves or any warping as well. So that's something you want to check out. Okay, so another thing you want to be looking at is the clutch cable, clutch lever and operation. Make sure that the clutch cable is in good condition. If you've got a split cable as well, make sure that that's all secure. And then also into the clutch basket as well, that's all adjusted properly. You may need to make adjustments. You may need to make adjustments in your primary fluid levels as well. So regular maintenance, regular checking of that is a kind of a must, really. Now, another thing you want to be looking at is the condition of your front forks and also the suspension travel, and also whether you need to change or inspect the oil within that as well. So front suspension is a key thing here. Okay, so one of the other things as well with your front suspension, it comes down to steering as well. So you want to be checking your steering head bearings, if there's any play in there, do they need any lubrication as well. So having a look at those or getting somebody to have a look at that, it'll be a key thing. But again, any play there, you need to get that seen to straight away. Okay, so anything associated with the fuel tank, the fuel lines, and the fittings, you need to check. Make sure you don't have any leaks anywhere. You also need to check the jiffy stand, the kickstand as well. Lubricate it, make sure it's got the proper action. Make sure that the spring on the jiffy stand is pulling the jiffy stand back into its most up position when you ride as well, that it's not hanging down. So make sure that that jiffy stand is correctly working properly. Okay, so many of you will have Harley Davidsons with bout drives as well, so you need to adjust the tension on the bout drives potentially. You also need to adjust and check the sprocket as well on the bout drives as well. So you need to check them and make sure there's no excessive play. If there is excessive play or wear, they either need to be replaced or they will need to be adjusted. Okay, so you'll also have to inspect and adjust your rear suspension. So make sure that it is operating properly. Make sure that it's the right suspension setting for your weight or the load that you're carrying with yourself and a passenger perhaps, or baggage. So always make sure that it's operating correctly and also that it's adjusted properly as well. If it isn't, make the adjustments, or you're going to have to put a replacement in there. Check for any leaks, any signs of excessive corrosion as well. Okay, so you also want to check your exhaust system as well. All the couplings, make sure there isn't any indication of gas leakage anywhere, any severe discoloration, any abnormal sounds coming from the exhaust as well. Something that's out of place will indicate there's an issue with the exhaust system. If there's an issue with the exhaust system, that's going to affect your overall engine performance as well. So make sure you do regular exhaust inspections as well. Okay, so also one of the other big things to look out for is your air filter. Do regular inspections of your air filter. Take off the cover if it's a stock air filter, of course. Make sure that it's all clean, free of debris. You may want to replace one if you need to. If you've got an aftermarket air filter, make sure that it's not all clogged up. Make sure it's still within the requirements and the specifications of that air filter. You may need to change that out as well. Now also, this really depends on which environment you're riding as well. Is it really dusty environment or is it really wet environment? So on and so forth. So you need to consider that for your plan to make regular inspections of your air filter. It's never a bad idea just to do that anyway, regardless of the environment which you're riding in. Okay, so one of the big issues of any motorcycle is the battery. One of the big causes of many issues, multiple issues, is the battery. Whether you've got a fault starting, a failure to start, a failure to ignite, electrical issues. A lot of it can be traced back to the battery. So make sure the battery is fully charged. It's on a trickle charger, on a tender, if you're not using the motorcycle a lot. Make sure all the connections are true, everything is tightened down. Make sure the battery is secure as well. But you may indeed have to replace out a battery as well. So bear that in mind. Regular maintenance on a battery, regular attention to a battery is a key to a smooth running motorcycle. Okay, so spark plugs is another big issue that you need to consider on a regular basis as well. So you need to take off the fuel tank, and then you can watch those other videos for that I've produced. Take off the fuel tank, and then you're going to be able to get at all the spark plugs, all the 4 spark plugs on the M8 engine here, of course, and take those out and inspect them for their limits. Are they within limits? Is there any discoloration on those as well? Are they still running properly, and also are they firing properly as well? Make those adjustments, or change out the spark plugs, or looking at your ignition system as well. making sure that the pulse to the spark plugs is correct as well. So that's a key thing for ongoing maintenance. Okay, so one of the other things about general maintenance is also about storing your motorcycle and how you're storing it, where you're storing it. Can you keep it indoors or is it stored outdoors? Is it undercover? What about moisture getting to it? All these kind of things that you need to consider. Maintenance of a motorcycle isn't actually just getting your wrenches on a motorcycle. It's also about the overall protection of it, keeping it protected from the elements. If you're going to apply some anti-corrosive winterization chemicals to it to actually protect it from the elements and the salts on the road, that kind of thing. But the storage of the motorcycle, the overall protection that you would give it, and the general maintenance, regular washing of the motorcycle as well, that's all really important. So how you take care of that bike is as crucial as doing mechanical maintenance to it as well. And finally, one of the things that you need to start to get to grips with is actually trying to diagnose certain issues with the motorcycle, troubleshooting little problems that you might be having. Now, if you watch one of my earlier videos about troubleshooting different parts of the motorcycle, different errors or different issues, then that will help you out a lot as well. But, you know, also getting to really know your motorcycle, getting to know if there's any issues with it will help you out a lot. And say troubleshooting and diagnosing issues is probably one of the key things to actually helping you fix your motorcycle if you ever have an issue that needs to be fixed. Well, there you go. I hope you found that useful. This is to help you maintain your motorcycle, what you need to be looking at on a regular basis. And I'm not just talking about every 1, 5 or 10,000 miles. This you can be doing every few hundred miles, or certain things you can be doing every time you ride as well. It really depends how conscientious you will be. But the more attention that you pay to your motorcycle, the better you will be in the long run in terms of having a smooth running motorcycle that will keep you running and riding for many miles ahead. But anyway, hope you found that useful. Let us know what you think in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video coming very, very soon. Bye now.
RevelatorAlf.